Hey, I'm going to do the book Fever 1793 by Laurie Halse Anderson, and this was one of my choice books that I chose. The first quote I'm going to read is on page 14, and in the beginning of each chapter there's like a little clip, I guess, if you can kind of see right there, from like a magazine or article or something like that. But right underneath it, the chapter is August 16th, 1793. And then underneath that it says, "Oh, then the hands of the pitiful mother prepared for her child's body for the grave." And it's a letter of Margaret Morris from Philadelphia in 1793. So then the chapter starts and it says, "Dead? Polly's dead? I couldn't have heard her properly. Polly Logan." The sweat on my neck turned to ice and I shivered. "Our Polly? That can't be." I tried to remember the last time we played together. It was before she started working for us. Last Christmas. No, well before that. Her family had moved to 3rd Street at least 2 years ago. She had been a cradle friend, the girl I played dolls with. We sang nonsense songs together when we churned butter. I could see it then, my small hands and Polly's together on the handle of the churn. I took a deep breath and closed my eyes. This is like right in the beginning, and Polly, she worked... The main character in this book, she's a young 14-year-old girl, and her name's Matilda, but she goes by Maddie Cook. So, well, it's Matilda Cook, but she goes by Maddie. So, this quote is, they live above a coffee shop, and Polly worked for them, and she is one of the first deaths that Maddie encounters, actually, with the yellow fever here. So, it was kind of hard for her because, like, even though they moved away, that's still one of her friends. So it was kind of difficult for her to deal with that and just the shock of it. So, and she's going through what they used to do together and, you know, walking hand in hand. So that quote's really significant because she is very mature in how she deals with all these deaths throughout the book. So that was the first one. The second quote I have is on page 56. It says, "You think everything needs more sugar." Eliza wiped the sweat off her face with a handkerchief. "I think the tea with the Ogilvy sisters affected you." I think that's just a name, sorry. Maybe you would be right for their Edward. She stirred the fire and lay on more wood. "Wasn't it long ago folks didn't have any sugar? No coffee or tea either. Please, Eliza, not another history lesson. I'll scream." Eliza harumphed and set the pudding over the fire. "Don't know which is worse, you moaning or your mother staring out the window hoping someone will walk in and lay a shilling on the table. We have ugly days ahead of us. No sugar for anyone, rich or poor. No, no." So Eliza, she's actually a free black woman, and she cooks for the family. And so the mother is kind of like in a haze, like all these people in the town are getting sick, and you know, Maddie's only 14. She kind of realizes like something's going on, but she's not quite sure exactly. So her and Eliza develop this relationship, and Eliza's great to her. Maddie obviously looks up to Eliza, and she's older. So she is saying here that, you know, there was no sugar, so this is, you know, an advantage for them to have, but now that everyone's getting sick, nobody's going to have sugar for a little while. So rich, poor, nobody. And just people are disappearing one by one. So just like little things like this, like even throughout the book, like at one point she has, I don't want to spoil it, but I guess I'm just going to tell you, at one point she has to leave the mother. So like there's a lot of hard lessons that like Maddie encounters at the age of 14. So that's I think, was that 6th, 7th grade maybe? Or no, I think you're about 8th grade actually, sorry. So, you know, you're still fairly young, that age, I think it's 8th grade. So Eliza helps guide her, and it's awesome what happens at the end with them too. So I'm not going to tell you, so hopefully you'll read it. The last quote I have, sorry, I lost my page here. It's in the back of the book. It's on page 243. It's actually the last page. It says, looking down at the peaceful street, it seemed no one could imagine the terror we had all endured. There were many tables with empty places, or invalids who had once been as strong as horses, but the sun continued to rise. People filled the street each day. On Sunday, the church bells rang. Philadelphia had moved on. Early morning was the only time I felt as if there were ghosts nearby. Memories of the weeks of fear. That's when I found myself listening for Polly's giggle, or grandfather's voice. Sometimes they felt so close. Close enough to tell me I should stop dawdling and get to work. I smiled as the mist faded. The yellow sun rose, a giant balloon filled with prayers and hopes and promises. I stood and shook the idleness out of my skirts. Day was begun. So, at this point, Maddie's a little older, and, she's been through so much that she's honestly come so far. Like, it's just a coming-of-age book, and she really is mature throughout this entire book. Like, maybe it's just a different time, and they had to deal with hardships differently. I just couldn't imagine going through the things that she went through, but this is awesome. So the quote's significant because it's saying, these bad things happen, and you have to move past them at some point and get on with your life, as harsh as it may sound. But, Maddie's lost almost everyone she has known, and she's still alive. She's running a coffee shop, hopefully I'm not ruining the book. But, life goes on. So, and just like the quote said, Philadelphia has moved on too. So, these awful things happen and we endure so much, and that's all you can do is just keep going with it. So, it's a good book. It's Fever, 1793 by Lori Halse Anderson. So, read it.